Well, hello there. Welcome to Microsoft Word 2013. If you took the beginners class, then you are ready to go for this one. This is a more intermediate advanced class. So if you have not taken the beginners class and you're not sure how Microsoft Word works, I would highly recommend you go ahead and take that first. But if you've already taken it or you're already familiar with it, then this class is going to be right for you. Keep in mind that you want to be listening for that secret code within this class with the Computer ClassPass Incentive Program. You just get me that code and then you'll be on your way to prizes. I also offer you free one-on-one appointments. So if there's any kind of needs or anything you would like to discuss, please get in contact with me and we can go over that information. So without further ado, I want to welcome you to Microsoft Word 2013, and we're going to be taking a look at working with text and objects. Here's what we're going to be covering today in class. So working with text is our is one of our two main subjects, and within that we're going to be talking about indents and tabs, and there's going to be a challenge affiliated with that. Then we're going to talk about line and paragraph spacing, and again a challenge affiliated with that. We're going to talk about lists, and you'll have a challenge with that. Hyperlinks, a challenge with that. Headers, footers, and page numbers with the challenge, and columns with the challenge. Then we're going to move on to working with objects, and this is going to be pictures and text wrapping along with the challenge, formatting pictures and background removal with the challenge, shapes and challenge, text boxes and word art with the challenge, arranging objects and the challenge, tables and using the layout tab in the challenge, and then parts and types of charts in the challenge. So this should be a very, very exciting class. I'm really looking forward to being able to work with you on some of this stuff today. I have broke this class up into two sections. It's one large class, but two sections. And in this first section, we're going to be talking about working with text in Word 2013. And that's going to involve anything that has text affiliation with it. There's a lot of videos. I like the videos so you can see a little bit more hands-on. And those are all from gcflearnfree.org. Highly recommend them. Their tutorials are fabulous as well as their challenges. So right now we're going to get into working with text in Word 2013.
Our life.
I've written a letter that has several paragraphs, and to make each paragraph stand out just a little more, I want to add a first line indent. Before you add an indent, you may want to go to the View tab and make sure the ruler is displayed, since it makes it easier to customize your indents. To create a first line indent, you can just place the insertion point at the beginning of a paragraph and then press the Tab key. You may have noticed that when I did this little marker on the ruler moved forward 1/2 inch. This is the first line indent marker. There's also the hanging indent marker, the left indent marker just below that, and the right indent marker. We can move them to create various types of indents. They don't affect the whole document, just the parts that are selected. So let's select all of these paragraphs. Now drag the first line indent marker. We can also create a hanging indent, which moves all of the lines except the first line. The left indent will move all of the lines at the same time. And the right indent is useful if you want to make the paragraph narrower. But for this letter, I need a more traditional look, so I'm just going to do a first line indent of 1/4 of an inch. Indents are a good way to keep things lined up in your document, but for more complex documents, such as resumes, they're not always enough. I'd really like all of these dates to line up. I could just use spaces, but it's going to be difficult or impossible to get them to line up exactly, so I'll need to use tabs. If I place the insertion point right before the text I want to align, and then press the Tab key, it's going to jump forward in 1/2 inch increments. It's much easier to align the dates this way. If you go to the Home tab and click the Show Hide command, you'll be able to see the tabs, and they show up as these little arrows. You can delete them by pressing the Backspace key. That works pretty well, but I'd like to have a little more control over exactly how the text lines up. I think a tab stop is exactly what we need here. Tab stops tell the text exactly where to line up, so you're not limited to 1/2 inch increments. On the left side of the screen is the Tab selector. If you click it, it will cycle through all of the different types of tab stops that determine whether the text is left aligned, centered, right aligned, or aligned at the decimal point if you're using numbers. I'm going to select the right tab. Just like with indents, tab stops only apply to the selected paragraph, so select all of the ones that need tab stops. Then click on the bottom edge of the ruler where you'd like the tab stop to be. You can add more than one if you need to, and you can remove them by just dragging them off the ruler. Now, to align the dates, we want to add just one tab before each year, and they will jump to the new tab stop. Generally, you'll need to add one tab for each tab stop. You can also move existing tab stops. Make sure the text is selected, and then move the tab stop to the left or right. But be sure to allow plenty of space for the text. If I move the tab stop too far to the left, the dates won't have enough room, so they won't line up correctly. This document looks a lot better now, and I think having everything lined up gives it a neater, more professional appearance.
So it's time for our first challenge. You're going to open an existing Word document, or if you want to, you can use GCF Learn Free's practice document, and that practice document is going to be located on a link in the class under the comments. So you'll be able to get to that, save it, and then do things with it. Go ahead and practice using the Tab key to indent some text. If you're using the practice document, try indenting the second and third paragraph of the thank you letter. Select a paragraph and try creating a hanging indent. You can select some text and use the increase indent and decrease indent commands to see how they change the text. If you're using the practice document, practice increasing and decreasing the indent of the text in the summary section of the resume. Explore the tab selector and tab stops. If you're using the practice document, select the text in the experience section of the resume, and you can add a left tab stop at 3 inches, then align each of the cities to that tab stop. So again, if you need more assistance with this, you can go back and watch that video about line and paragraph spacing, or I'm sorry, not paragraph spacing, but that has to do with indenting and tabbing. So you can definitely do that, watch that video again and get yourself in there. Line and paragraph spacing we're getting into in the next section, so I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, but you can rewatch that video and it's going to get you right up to pace with that.
Better life.
Word allows you to fine-tune the line and paragraph spacing in your documents. In this example, I'd like to start by changing the line spacing, which is the space between each line of text. Start by selecting some text, and then in the paragraph group, click the Line and Paragraph Spacing command. By default, the line spacing is 1.08, so if you change it to 1.0, the lines will be a little bit closer together, and if you choose 2.0, they'll be double spaced. But if you want to have more precise control, click Line Spacing Options. There are two things that you can change: the line spacing mode and the amount. When the mode is set to multiple, you can type in the number of lines of spacing that you want. The default is 1.08, so we might change it to something like 1.25 to spread the lines out a little bit. If you're more accustomed to measuring in points, like with font sizes, you can select Exactly. Usually, you'll want the spacing to be a little bit larger than the font size. Since I have 12-point text, I'd like to set it to about 14 or 15. Now you may have noticed that there is some extra space between each paragraph. That's because Word adds paragraph spacing by default. If you want, you can remove it or change the amount of space. Make sure the text is selected, and then click the Line and Paragraph Spacing command. And then at the bottom of the list there are two options: Add space before paragraph and Remove space after paragraph. And these options will vary depending on the current paragraph spacing. Just like with line spacing, if you want to fine-tune the paragraph spacing, go to Line Spacing Options, and then you can type in whichever values you want for the space before and after. I think I'll try 10 points after each paragraph. I think this looks pretty good, but if you don't like the way the line or paragraph spacing looks, you can go back and adjust it until your document looks the way that you want.
So here's the challenge for the line and paragraph spacing. So you're either going to open an existing document that you've already got going, or you can use the practice document. Just use that link that I provided with you in comments under the class, and it'll be labeled line and paragraph spacing to keep you up to date with the different sections. Then you're going to change the line spacing of some of the text. If you're using the example or the practice document, change the line spacing of the paragraph in the summary section so it is single spaced. Change the paragraph spacing between two paragraphs. If you're using the practice document, add a paragraph spacing after each paragraph in the experience section. If you're using the practice document, change the line and paragraph spacing so the entire resume fits on one page. So you have several different options here to kind of get you familiar with line and paragraph spacing.
For a better life.
When you're creating a Word document that includes a list of items, like this meeting agenda, you can format it as either a bulleted or numbered list. First, you'll need to select the text. To add bullets, you can just click the Bullets command, and if you ever want to remove them, you can just click here again. For more options, you can click the Bullets drop-down arrow and select the style that you want. If you click at the end of a list item and then press the Enter key, the next line will automatically have the same list formatting. When you're done, just press Enter twice, and the next line will have the normal formatting without bullets. Now there's another part of this document that I want to format as a numbered list. To do this, select the text, and then click the numbering command, or use the drop-down arrow to select the style that you want. I'd like to split this up into two lists with a heading in between steps 5 and 6. So I'll click here and press Enter twice. You can see that after the heading it has continued the numbering starting with step 6. If you'd like to change that, all you have to do is right-click the number and go to Restart at 1. If you want to change it back, just right-click the number and select Continue Numbering. Now I'm going to go back to the top and select my bulleted list. I'd like to change these bullets to something different, but when I click the drop-down arrow, I don't see one that I want. That's okay because there are lots of other symbols that we can choose from. Just go to Define New Bullet and click Symbol, then select a font. I recommend using any of the Wingdings fonts because they have a lot of symbols to choose from. You can then scroll through the list of symbols, and when you found one you like, select it and click OK. While I'm here, I think I'll customize it a little more. Click Font, and let's change the color of the bullet. I'm going to choose this green color. Click OK to close these dialog boxes, and your bullets will appear in the document. Now there's a third type of list that we haven't talked about yet, called a multi-level list. A multi-level list is basically just an outline, and the great part about them is that you can easily turn any bulleted or numbered list into a multi-level list. For example, under News and Events, I'd like to list some specific news items. I'll press Enter to create a new item, and then press Tab on my keyboard. Then I can type each item, pressing Enter after each one. If you want to increase the level of one of the lines, just click at the beginning of the line, and then press the Tab key one or more times. And if you want to decrease the level of a line, hold the Shift key and press Tab, and it will move to the left. Just like with any list, you can change the bullet or numbering style. If you click on a list item and select a different bullet, it will change all of the items on that level. You can also reformat the entire list by clicking the Multi-Level List command and then selecting one of the built-in styles. So there are a lot of different ways that you can format your lists, and you can tailor them to fit the style of your document.
So here is the challenge associated with lists. If you have an existing Word document you've been working with, go ahead and open that up and you can keep using it. If not, then you can use the practice document that's provided to you. And again, that's a link that's attached to the class in the comments, and it's going to be labeled lists. Insert a new bulleted list in the document. If you're using the practice document, add the word fundraising chairs report and other business to the bottom of the list. Create a new numbered list. Restart the numbering of the list so it begins with the number of your choice. Use a symbol as a bullet. If you're using the example or the practice document, change the opening circles into a different symbol. Modify the color of the bullet. If you're using the practice document, change the color of the green diamond bullets. Change the style of the list. If you're using the practice document, change the bolded list into a numbered list. Use the tab key to change the levels of some of the lines. If you're using the practice document, increase the level of the two bullets under the list. Item International Abortist Association. So these are some great challenges to get you going with lists. If you need any further assistance, just give me a call and we can get you all set up.
For better life.
In some documents, you may want to include an email address or a web address. You can format these as hyperlinks so people can access the information directly from Word. For example, I'd like to add an email address to the signature at the bottom of this letter. And if I press the spacebar or the Enter key on my keyboard, Word will automatically format the text as a hyperlink. You can do the same thing with a web address. In this example, we'll add a link to the company's website. It's a good idea to test all of your links before sending out your document to make sure they work. Normally, when you're in a web browser, you would just click the link to open it. But in Word, you'll have to hold Control on your keyboard while you click, just like it says in the instructions here. Creating links automatically doesn't always work. For example, if you want the text to be something other than the web address. In those situations, you can format any of your existing text as a hyperlink. I'd like to add a link to the company's support center so the customer can go straight to the website while reading the document. I'll first select the text that I want to turn into a link, then right-click and choose Hyperlink. You can also use the hyperlink command on the Insert tab. Every hyperlink has two parts. The most important part is the address, which could be a web address, an email address, a file, or even a location in the same document. Just use the buttons here to navigate your options. In this example, we're going to enter a web address. The second part of the hyperlink is the display text, which is the part people will actually see when they read the text in the document. The display text can be the same as the address, or just whatever you want. When you're ready, click OK, and now the text is formatted as a hyperlink. To remove a hyperlink, all you have to do is right-click, then make your selection from the menu. You can even choose Edit Hyperlink to make adjustments to the display text or address. Now you know two different ways to create hyperlinks in Word, either by converting the text yourself or by using the automatic formatting feature.
I really enjoyed that video about hyperlinks. It really does kind of show you how it all works, and I'm really hoping you're going to be able to get this challenge going for hyperlinks. Again, they have a practice document. You can just click on the link that's in this class affiliated with hyperlinks, and then you'd be on your way using theirs. But you can create a hyperlink that links to an email address. If you're using the practice document, add a hyperlink for Olivia Main's email address, and there it is for you at the bottom of the letter. Type or select some text, a word or a phrase, format it with a hyperlink of your choosing. If you'd like, you can use the URL for gcflearnfree.org to practice with. So it's gcflearnfree.org. And then test the hyperlink you created by clicking on it. The web page should open in your web browser. And you've actually been doing this in the entire class anyway, because all of these practice documents are just hyperlinks that are linked to it. So go ahead and give this challenge a try as well.
For better life.
Headers and footers can be used to display information in the top and bottom margins of your document. They can include details like the author's name, page numbers, the date, and more. To create your own header or footer from scratch, double-click the margin at the top or bottom of your document. This will unlock the header or footer area so you can add whatever information you want. You can also use the tools on the Design tab, which will appear on the right side of the ribbon. When you're done, you can close the header or footer using the button here, or by pressing Escape on your keyboard. If you don't have a lot of experience with headers and footers, you might want to start with a preset instead. Preset headers and footers give you several different designs to choose from, so they're a great choice for any document. To add a preset header or footer, go to the Insert tab, then click the command that you want. In this example, I'm going to add a header. You can choose one of the simple options at the top, or scroll down for something more unique. Notice how we have access to the Design tab again. For now, I'm just going to enter my information into the box here, which is known as a Content Control field. If we close the header, we can see what it looks like compared to the rest of the document. To edit it again, you'll need to unlock it by double-clicking the margin. I forgot that I wanted to include the date, maybe right here below the document title. To add this to your document, just click Date and Time on the Design tab, then choose how you want the date to appear. If you want the date to be updated every time you open the document, check the box next to Update Automatically. This is good if you want to show the date the document was printed instead of the date it was created. Otherwise, leave the box unchecked, and it will remain at today's date. Let's take a look at page numbers next. The header I chose doesn't have them, but they're really easy to add. Just place your cursor where you want the page numbering to go. In this example, I'm going to press the Tab key until I reach the tab stop on the right. Next, click the Page Number command and make your selection from the menu. Top of page and bottom of page will replace your current header or footer with whatever option you choose. Sometimes that's what you want, but in this case, I'm trying to add page numbers to the header I already have. For that, we can choose Page Margins or Current Position. And now we have page numbers on each page of the document. If you need to restart your numbering partway through your document, there is a way to do this. You can even apply a different numbering style. You just have to insert a section break first. In this example, I want to restart the numbering at page 1 for the Works Cited section. So I'm going to place my cursor at the beginning of the section, then go to the Page Layout tab. From here, click the Breaks command, then choose Next Page from the menu. Now we can adjust our page numbering by following these steps. First, double-click the header or footer, which should take you back to the Design tab. Then click the Page Number command and choose Format Page Numbers from the menu. A dialog box will appear where you can change the number format, add chapters to your page numbering, and more. But to restart your numbering, all you have to do is select the field that says Start At. By default, it will restart at 1. However, you can enter any number depending on what you need. When you're done, click OK, and you'll see the change immediately. There are still lots of other things that you can do on the Design tab. For example, if you want to hide the header or footer on the first page of your document, then start back up on page 2, you can select Different First Page. If you want to remove the header or footer altogether, just click the command that you want, then click Remove at the very bottom of the menu. Headers and footers can be used in many different ways, whether you're working on a casual document or an academic paper. They can make your information easier to reference and also add a nice professional touch.
So now you're going to create a Word document that is affiliated with headers, footers, and page numbers. That video was pretty good on showing you how that works. If you have an existing Word document, go ahead and open it. We can just use that. If not, you can use their practice document, which I've created a link for you under the comments in this class. So you're going to create a blank header. If you're using the practice document, just unlock the header. Add a name to the header. If you're using the practice document, try the name Tom Shelby after Professor. Try inserting a preset header or footer. Add today's date to the header. If you're using the practice document, add today's date below Professor Tom Shelby. Try adding a page number to the footer. If you're using the example, add a page number to the bottom of the page. Try restarting the page numbering. And don't forget that that document is included for you. And again, this is all about headers, footers, and page numbers, so you're going to want to click on the link that's affiliated with that. But this is a really great challenge to get you going on headers and footers.
For a better life.
Columns are a great way to present certain types of information, like lists and news articles. Not only can they improve readability, they can also help you get the most out of your page layout. In this document, there's a lot of unused space on the right. If we formatted the text into columns, it would fill this space, and we'd be able to fit more information on the page. To get started, select the text that you want to format, then go to the Page Layout tab, and click the Columns command. Here you can choose one of the predefined styles, like 2 or 3 columns, or you can click More to access even more options. In this example, we're going to choose 2. Now our list of contact info is displayed as 2 separate columns, but I'd really like the leasing office section to start in the second column, and to do that, I'm going to insert a column break. Column breaks work a lot like page breaks. Just place your cursor where you want the break to begin, then click the Breaks command. Next, choose Column from the menu, and the text will move to the top of the next column. There are several other ways that you can customize columns in Word. For example, you can adjust the layout using the indent markers here. You can also open the More Columns dialog box and fine-tune settings like the exact width of each column and the amount of space between them. If you change your mind, you can easily remove the columns from your document without deleting the text. Just start by selecting your columns. Next, click the Columns command, and this time choose 1 from the menu. If you had any column breaks, you may need to make some adjustments to return the text to its original layout. In this example, I'm going to place my cursor at the end of the current section and press Delete a couple of times, and then press Enter to return the text to its own line. As you can see, working with columns is easy. You just have to know how to customize them using the Column Breaks feature and the rest of the options Word has to offer.
This is the last part under working with texts for the class. We'll be moving on to another section here in a moment. But this is all about columns. And that video really kind of brought it to heart to show you how it works. So you can either open an existing Word document that you've been working with, or you can use the practice document with the link that I've provided that's affiliated with columns. You would select the text you want to format into columns. If you're using the practice document, select the 2 bulleted lists in the new online residential portal section. You can format the selected text into 2 columns. Add a column break. If you're using the practice document, add a column break before communicate with Lima Grove staff. So this is some great things getting you going with, or closing out rather, what we've been talking about as far as working with texts. So I hope that you've been able to use those practice documents, or you've created your own and you're not having any problems. If you are, just get in contact with me and we can weed all that out for you. Now we're ready for our next section, which is working with objects in 2013. We're going to be talking about shapes and things along those lines, formatting pictures, anything that involves objects in our document in this section. So we are now done with working with text, and we're moving on to working with objects. So everything we do in the class from here on out is going to involve objects. It might involve text as well, but it's really going to involve those objects.
For a better life.
Word gives you several different ways to add pictures to your documents. You can use your own, or you can search for something in the online picture library, which includes stock photos, clip art, and other graphic resources. In this example, I want to start by adding the company logo to the top margin of the document. The file is already saved to my computer, so inserting it should be pretty easy. Just go to the Insert tab, then click the Pictures command. From here, select the image you want. You may need to navigate to where it's saved on your computer. Then click the Insert button, and it will be added to your document. Remember, I wanted the image positioned in the very top margin, but watch what happens when I try to move it there using the drag and drop method. It doesn't work because the current text wrapping setting won't allow it. Text wrapping controls the position of the image and the way the rest of your document wraps around it. To move the image freely, we'll need to change the text wrapping setting to something other than the default. First, make sure the image is selected, then look to the Format tab. From here, you can use Position to choose one of the predefined layouts, or you can try the Wrap Text command if you want a little more control. For a convenient shortcut, you can even access some of these options from the Layout button here. These four options are a good choice if the picture is in the main part of your document, for example, next to an article. We'll take another look at them at the end of this video. This time, I'm going to choose In Front of Text so I can move the image wherever I want. Just drag and drop the image wherever you want it to go. You can even use the arrow keys on your keyboard to gently nudge it into place. And there, I think we've got it. Now, if you find yourself in a situation where you'd like to add a picture but you don't have anything suitable of your own, that's okay. Word gives you access to thousands of images from other sources online. All you have to do is go to the Insert tab and click the Online Pictures command. From here, you can search for stock photos, clip art, and other graphics at office.com, or you can use Bing to search the web. You can even access pictures from your SkyDrive account if you have any stored there. I'm going to try a web search first. Just type your search term in the box, then press Enter on your keyboard. By default, Bing only shows images that are licensed under Creative Commons, which means it's okay to use them in your own projects. Just to be safe though, you should check the image's website to make sure there aren't any restrictions. Just follow the link you see here. Let's try the same search, but this time in the Office.com collection. Unlike the web search option, you're free to use any of these images any way you want, without having to check the license. They're provided by Microsoft, so you always have access to high-quality images, no matter what kind of image you need. This one looks good. It should be perfect for the article I'm working on. To insert it, I'm going to click the thumbnail, then the Insert button, and it will be added to the document. To change the size of an image, all you have to do is click and drag the sizing handles here. The ones in the corners will make sure the image stays in proportion. Now we can adjust our text wrapping settings. Again, make sure the image is selected, then click the Wrap Text command on the Format tab. This time, I want something that'll place the image not behind or in front of the text, but positioned alongside it. As you can see from the preview, square would be a good choice. So would the tight option, which causes the text to sort of hug the image if the image has a transparent background. I think I'm going to go with tight, and then move the picture to the right side of the article. Whether you have your own pictures or you found something in the online collection, the right imagery can really make your document pop. Now you know a few different ways to add and position images so you get the right combination of pictures and text.
So we've been talking about pictures and wrapping text. So now this part of it is your challenge for that section. So you're either going to create a new Word document or you're going to open up the practice document, which is located with a link in this class. Insert a picture from a file into your document. Go ahead and resize the picture. Find a picture with a Bing image search and insert it into your document. If you're using the practice document, search for computer and insert it in the new online residential portal section. Change the text wrapping setting of one of the images. If you're using the example, change the text wrapping setting of the computer to through. Try moving an image to a new location. So this is a great way to get yourself around with those pictures and being able to use that wrapping text feature as well.
For better life.
If you have pictures in your document, you want them to look as good as possible. Sometimes that means making a few adjustments, like changing the color, adding an effect, or just applying a border. To get started, select the picture you want to modify. This will open the Format tab on the right. Here you'll find everything you need to edit the image. First, I'm going to show you how to crop it to a different size. Just click the Crop command, and you'll see a series of cropping handles around the edge of the picture. You'll need to place your mouse right over these handles, or you might grab one of the sizing handles by mistake. Now click and drag the handle, and the part of the image that's going to be cropped out will be highlighted gray. Just keep making adjustments as needed, and then deselect the command or just press Enter when you're done. You may have noticed that there's a drop-down arrow below the Crop command. If we mouse over Crop to Shape, we can change the shape of the image so it's not just a square or a rectangle. I'm going to choose the teardrop shape, which, as you can see, matches the rest of the graphics in my document. In some cases, you may want to change or correct the color of your image or add some kind of special effect. You can access these options in the Adjust group. For example, if you go to Corrections, you can soften or sharpen the image. Just watch the preview below to see what it's going to look like. You can also adjust the brightness and contrast. I think this one looks good. Let's take a look at the Color command next. Here you can change the saturation, as well as the color tone, which controls how warm or cool the image appears. You can even change the color of the picture altogether using the theme colors that are currently applied to your document. I'm just going to change the color tone. Then take a look at the last command in the group, Artistic Effects. Now, you probably don't want to use an artistic effect on every picture. You'll also find that they don't work on certain types of clip art. But in some cases, they can really help you enhance your document. For example, I like this effect because it makes the photo look like a painting or an illustration, and that matches the bold look that I'm going for perfectly. If you're looking for more ways to enhance your images, you might want to try the Picture Styles group. Here you can add frames, drop shadows, and other picture effects all in a single click. If you don't like any of the presets, you can use the commands on the right instead. In this example, I'm going to add my own border, and then open the command again to make the weight a little thicker. Before you send out your document, you may want to compress any pictures that you've added. This will make the file size smaller so the document will be easier to email or post on the web. First, make sure your image is selected, then click the Compress Pictures command in the top corner of the Adjust group. Notice that there's an option to delete cropped areas of pictures. This will delete any cropped areas permanently instead of just hiding them, so they won't contribute to the file size. You can also change the resolution for the image. The email setting offers the lowest resolution, so it'll have the smallest possible file size. Now, the look of the picture has changed a bit. That's because compression lowers the quality of the image. Often that's not what you want. For example, if you're planning to print the document instead of sending it online. You'll just have to decide whether higher quality or lower file size is more important to you, depending on the situation. Now you know how to format pictures in Word. Don't be afraid to experiment with the options we've talked about today. With so many tools at your disposal, you can do all kinds of creative things with your images.
For a better life.
Word has a great feature called background removal that can be used to remove parts of your picture, giving it a transparent background. Not only is this a useful tool, it also opens up tons of creative possibilities. Here's how it works. First, make sure the image is selected. Then click the Remove Background command on the Format tab. Don't worry if the picture doesn't look good yet, because we're going to make a few adjustments. The first thing you should do is click and drag the selection handles so the foreground areas are inside the box. Right now, the background areas are highlighted bright pink or magenta, but when we're done, they'll be removed from the image altogether. With some pictures, Word needs a little help deciding which areas to remove and which areas to keep. In this picture, we have a couple problems. Most of the roses and also the stems are being marked as part of the background, so we need to tell Word to keep those areas in the picture. Click Mark Areas to Keep, then click and drag to create a line over the areas you want. As you can see, Word will readjust the image while you work. Now it's including part of the background by accident, so we need to mark this area to remove. That looks better. Go through the image and keep marking areas as needed. If you make a mistake, all you have to do is click Delete Mark, then click the mark you want to remove. At this point, our foreground subjects look good and the entire background is highlighted magenta. Notice that I've left these two roses in the background, which is going to remove them from the image too. This is just another way of using the feature to customize your image. You decide what's part of the background and what's not, so it's completely up to you. When you're ready, you just need to exit the tool. Click the Keep Changes button here, and that's it. Now that the picture has a transparent background, there are lots of interesting things we can do with it. For example, we could place it on top of a shape, or even another picture. The image also works well placed next to other objects. Here, it really contributes to the professional look of the design. If you notice that you've missed something, you can always edit the picture again by returning to the Remove Background command. With this very special feature, you can do things in Word that you would normally do in a photo editing program. Now that you know how it works, make sure you give it a try.
Okay, so we were talking about the formatting of pictures and removing background from an image. So here we've got a practice document that you can either use the link for, or you can open up your new Word document and get yourself going. Go ahead and insert an image from your file. You can crop the image. If you're using the practice document, crop the image in the Pool, Reopening, and Celebration section into the shape of your choosing. Experiment with different image corrections and color settings. Add an artistic effect to the image. If you're using the practice document, add an artistic effect to the image in the new online residential portal section. Try compressing an image. If you're using the practice document, compress the image in Memorial Day barbecue section. You can remove the background from the image. If you're using the practice document, remove the background of the image in the important contact info section. And don't forget that that link for that document is going to be under comments for this class. So this is a great challenge affiliated with formatting pictures and removing background from an image.
For a better life.
One of the best ways to add more interest to your documents is to add shapes. Word gives you lots of different shapes to choose from, and they can be customized to suit your needs, using your own color palette, preferences, and more. To get started, go to the Insert tab, click the Shapes command, then take a look at the menu and see if there's anything you like. In this example, we're going to start with the ribbon shape here. Now, to draw your shape, click, hold, and drag your mouse roughly where you want it to go. The shape will appear with your current default color scheme. We're going to talk about how to change that in a minute. Right now, I'd like to add one more shape before we move on. The great thing about shapes is the fact that they can be combined and customized to create your own unique graphics. Mastering this element can take time, but with a little practice and a little creativity, you can create almost anything. When you're working with multiple shapes, you may reach a point where you want to change the order so the correct shape is in front. This comes up a lot in Word, so it's a good technique to know. Just right-click one of your shapes, then go down to Bring to Front and Send to Back. You may need to experiment with these options to make sure your shapes are arranged the way you want. In this example, I've selected the heart and I want to move it behind the ribbon. So I'm going to choose Send Backward, and that'll do it. Now we can make some adjustments to our shapes. The first thing I'm going to do is make the ribbon a little smaller using the sizing handles here. These can be found on the sides and the corners of any shape or object in Word. Every shape also has a rotation handle that you can drag in any direction. See how it changes the position? If your shape has any yellow handles like the ones you see here, you can use those to make other adjustments. In this case, they change the proportions of the ribbon, but it just depends. Some shapes don't have this option at all. Next, let's take a look at the Format tab, which appears anytime you have a shape selected. From here you can change the fill color, outline, and basically anything related to the shape's appearance. The quickest way to change the look of your shape is to use one of the predefined shape styles. These options depend on the colors and shape effects that are part of your current theme. Just mouse over each one for a preview and see if there's anything you like. You can also use the commands on the right to choose your own formatting options. In this example, I'm going to change the outline color and then apply a shadow using the Shape Effects command. You can even change the shape itself if you want to try something different. This option is good if you've already applied some formatting and you don't want to lose it by starting over from scratch. Just click the Edit Shape command on the far left of the Format tab. Then you can choose a new shape from the menu. I'm going to go with a slightly different ribbon. I've gone ahead and finished tweaking the size, color, and placement of my shapes. Now I'd like to add a bevel effect to the heart and show you a couple different ways to use 3D formatting. To get started, select the shape you want to format. Then click the Shape Effects command and look to the two options at the bottom of the menu. Bevel adds thickness and a sculpted edge to the shape, while 3D rotation makes it look like you're viewing the object from a different angle. 3D rotation works best when the shape has some depth, so we're going to apply a bevel first, which gives the heart a subtle three-dimensional effect. Let's go back to 3D rotation and mouse over some of the options for a preview. Now we can really see the effect of the bevel. Notice how the edges catch the light and the shape looks truly three-dimensional? I'm looking for something fairly subtle, so I'm going to choose an option from the middle section of the menu. How about this one? Now it's time for the finishing touch, adding some text to the ribbon. To add text to a shape, all you have to do is select the one you want, then start typing. This instantly turns the shape into a text box. You can even format the text using the options on the Home tab. Here it is with a different font. There are lots of things you can do with shapes in Word. This graphic is just one example. So give it a try and see what you can come up with. You can use just one shape at a time, or you can try combining them to create something new.
Inserting things into documents are so fun just because you can manipulate them and you can do so much with them. So we've been talking about shapes. So now you're either going to create a new Word document or you're going to use the practice document with that link that's provided to you in class. Insert a two or three shapes, just a couple of them. If you're using the practice document, insert a lightning bolt shape on the cloud. You can select a shape and resize it. If you're using the practice document, resize the cloud so it appears larger. Place one shape on top of the other and try changing the order of the shapes. If you're using that practice document, try changing the order of the shape so the lightning bolt is behind the cloud now. Select a shape and change it to a different shape. If you're using the example or the practice document, try changing the moon into a sun. Select a shape and try changing the shape style, fill color, and outline. Try various shadow effects and try various 3D effects. So you've got a lot you can be doing with this challenge here. And again, creating your own or using the document that's provided to you, it doesn't matter. You can get that link for the class under comments, and that's going to be under the shapes area. So have fun with this one because I think you're really going to enjoy it and have fun.
Sometimes you want to add text at a specific location on the page, but your layout won't let you. Putting the text inside a text box will give you the freedom to move it wherever you want. You can also format it using different shape styles and word art. To create a text box, go to the Insert tab, then click the text box command. There are several built-in styles to choose from, but you can always go with a plain text box and add formatting yourself. To do this, click Draw Text Box, then click, hold, and drag roughly where you want the text box to go. Now you can type whatever you want. You can even format the text using the options on the Home tab and the Format tab. In this example, I'm going to make several different changes. We'll start by selecting the edge of the text box, then aligning the text to the middle. Next, we're going to go to the Home tab and increase the font size to make it easier to read. You can also change the font itself if you want something other than the default. Finally, I'm going to align the text to the center of the text box to give it a nice, clean appearance. I'm also going to remove the paragraph spacing because that can have an effect on your vertical alignment. It helps to think of text boxes as just another type of shape in Word. That means you can easily give them a new look by changing the fill color, removing the outline, or adding an effect. Just go back to the Format tab, then look to all the options in the Shape Styles group. You can also change the shape of the text box using the Edit Shape command here. Word gives you all the usual shapes to choose from. Why don't we try a circle instead of the default square? To resize a text box, click and drag the sizing handles on the sides or the corners of the shape. To move it, just place your cursor on the edge and drag it wherever you want. Another great thing about text boxes is the fact that you can format the text inside using a special feature called Word Art. You'll find everything you need in the Word Art Styles group. You can use the commands on the right to adjust your formatting manually, including the text fill, outline, and special effects. Or you can try one of the built-in Word Art styles, also known as Quick Styles. I don't think I like the way these look with the orange background, so I'm going to leave the text the way it is. What I'd really like to do is add an effect where it says Annual Clearance. But because this is regular text, we need to convert it before we can do anything else. First, select the text you want to format, then go to the Insert tab. From here, you're able to convert the text to a regular text box, or you can convert it straight to Word Art. This has the added benefit of giving the text box a transparent background. Remember, you can customize your Word Art using the commands on the Format tab. In this example, I'm going to check out the options under Text Effects. These are pretty much the same effects that you can add to shapes in Word, including drop shadow, 3D rotation, and more. But if you look to the bottom of the menu, you'll find an extra option called Transform. This effect will actually change the shape of your text. Just mouse over the options for a preview, and be careful not to choose one that makes your text unreadable. I think this one looks pretty good. Once you've added a transform effect, the text will stretch to fit the text box anytime you resize it. You probably don't want to use word art in more serious documents, like a resume or an academic paper. But if you're working on something casual like this flyer, it can really be a lot of fun.
Text boxes and word art can be so much fun. They bring such life to what we're doing. So you can do this by creating a new Word 2013 document, or if you want to, you can use the practice document that I have included as a class link for you under text boxes and word art. You're going to insert a text box. You're going to enter some text into the text box. If you're using the practice document, enter the text every Friday from 7 to 9. Move the text box to a new location. Try changing the shape of the text box. Change the fill color of the text box. Change the outline of the text box to no outline. Try applying some effects to the text box, and you can add some word art effects to the text. It's a fantastic challenge. You're going to have so much fun doing this, and if you need any assistance, just get in contact with me and we can get you going on this. No problem. It's super easy, I promise you. And you can either create your own and use the practice. So you've got a couple of different options available to you.
For a better life.
Pictures, text boxes, and shapes are all considered objects in Word. Sometimes you need a little help arranging these objects to get your document to look the way you want. Take these 4 text boxes, for example. Right now, they're all placed kind of randomly on the page, but I'd rather have them lined up in a row. Of course, I could try to line them up manually, or I could get Word to do it for me. The first thing you'll need to do is select the objects you want to align. To select them all at once, just hold Shift on your keyboard while you click. Next, we can navigate to the Format tab and click the Align command. You'll have several different options to choose from, ranging from vertical to horizontal alignment. You can also choose whether to align the objects to the page, to the margin, or to each other, which is the default setting. This time, I'm going to go with Align Right, and now the objects are aligned to each other along the right edge. There's another thing I'd like to change that can be done just as easily. Notice how the shapes are lined up, but they're not quite evenly spaced? To fix that, go to the Align command again, then choose Distribute Vertically. Perfect. Now that I have these objects arranged the way I want, I'm going to group them so they always stay together. Just make sure you have each of your objects selected, then click the Group command and choose Group. Now we have a single grouped object that we can move or resize any way we want. See how it works? Let's take a look at a few more techniques. I've gone ahead and added the picture I want to use as part of my background. I've also changed the text wrapping setting to in front of text to make it easier to move the picture around the page. The problem is that it's overlapping the rest of the objects in the document, to the point where we can't even see them. This can happen anytime you have multiple objects, depending on the order they're in. To change the order of an object, make sure it's selected, then go to the Format tab. You have 2 commands to choose from: Bring Forward or Send Backward, depending on what you need. If I click Send Backward, the image moves back only one level, basically behind the business name. The text boxes on the right are still obscured. If we click the drop-down arrow instead, we can choose Send to Back, and that takes care of it. The last thing I'd like to do is rotate or flip the picture so it appears in reverse. To do this, click the Rotate command, then choose Flip Horizontal. Now we can see the bubbles that were hidden behind the text boxes on the right. At this point, everything is perfectly aligned and arranged in the right order, so I'm happy with my document. Practice using these tools on your own, and you'll be able to work with objects in all kinds of situations.
Time for another challenge. Now this challenge is about arranging objects. So you can either open an existing Word 2013 document that contains objects or images if you want, or you can use the practice document, which I've included a link in this class under comments, and it's categorized as arranging objects. Practice using the align options from the align command. If you're using the practice document, align the seashells and the starfish so they are in a row. Practice using the rotate options. Create a new shape, then send it behind the other objects. If you're using the practice document, bring the fish forward to the front of the red text box. You can group the objects into one object. If you're using the document, if the practice document, group the red text box and the fish. You can move the grouped object to a new location on the document, or you can ungroup the objects. So again, you have several different options available to you as far as arranging objects. And if you need a refresher, you can always go back to the video of arranging objects and take another look and then try to apply this challenge.
For a better life.
Using regular text to compose your documents is fine in most cases, but for something that requires more organization, you might want to try a table. This will let you enter your text in columns and rows instead of lines or paragraphs. To create a new table, just go to Insert, Table, then mouse over the grid to select the number of cells you want. My table's going to be pretty big, 6 columns by 6 rows. Now click, and the table appears in your document where you can start entering your information. If you already have some of your information listed, don't worry, you don't have to start from scratch. Take this version for example. The schedule's kind of hard to read in its current format, but we can easily convert it to a table in just a couple steps. Start by selecting your text, then go to the Insert tab and click Table. Now click Convert Text to Table and choose one of the options here for separating your text. This is how Word knows what to put in each column. My text is separated by tabs in this example, but paragraphs, commas, and other symbols will also work. When you're ready, click OK, and the text will appear in a table. To enter information, just click the cell you want. You can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard to navigate. To insert a column or row, hover outside the table over one of the cell dividers. Notice the plus sign that appears? All you have to do is click, and Word will add a column or row in that location. Deleting columns and rows is just as easy. First, select a cell in the range you want to delete. Then right-click and choose Delete Cells from the menu. In this example, I'm going to select Delete Entire Row, then click OK. So this is looking pretty good. I think I'm ready to add some formatting to make the table easier to read and also give it some color. For that, you'll find everything you need on the Design tab or the Layout tab, which appear anytime you have your cursor in your table. Under Design, you'll find a wide range of table styles to choose from, which you can mouse over for a preview. For the full list, click the drop-down arrow in the corner. How about this one? Once you've chosen a style, you can customize the way it's laid out using the table style options here. For example, you can decide whether or not to use special formatting on the first column or the header row. These will all have a different effect depending on the table style you've chosen, so you might need to experiment to get the look you want. You may have noticed that this table has a border between most of the cells. To add or change the border, just select the cells you want to modify, then look to the Borders group. Here you can select a line style, line weight, and also a color for your border. When you're ready, click the drop-down arrow under the Borders command, then choose where you want the border to go. I want mine around the outside of these 2 cells. You can make further modifications to things like the size and layout of your table by going to the Layout tab. The first thing I'd like to do here is make the table a little bigger overall. I'll start by placing my cursor in the bottom row and then dragging the border to the size I want. When you're ready, click the Distribute Rows command, and the rows will readjust so they're all the same size again. Next, I'm going to select the entire table and then change the text alignment using the options in the alignment group. I think centered looks the best. Finally, I'd like to combine these two cells into one, also known as merging. This option is useful if your table has data that spans several different columns or rows. Just make sure your cells are selected, then click the Merge Cells command on the Layout tab. The Layout tab gives you many ways to customize your table, so it works for you and the information you want to display. There are still lots of other options to explore, so make sure you give them a try on your own.
When you select a table in Word 2013, the Layout tab appears under Table Tools on the ribbon. From the Layout tab, you can make a variety of modifications to the table. So here we see that we have a new tab available to us because we have inserted some type of a table. So let's just go over some of this just a little bit. We will start here. Adding rows and columns. You can insert or delete rows and columns in your table. This can be especially helpful or useful if you need to add something to the middle of your table. So you can see how they have that there. Merge and split cells. Some tables require a layout that doesn't conform to the standard grid. Conform to the standard grid. So in these cases, you may need to merge or split cells. And you can see how they've done that there. And a lot of that's done in those arrows for you. You can change your cell size. You can type a desired row height or column width for your cells. If you want, you can click Auto Fit, and it will automatically adjust the column widths based on the text inside themselves. So you can see how they have changed that cell size. You can distribute rows and columns. To keep your table looking neat and organized, you may want to distribute the rows and columns equally, which makes them all the same size. You can distribute rows or columns for the entire table or just a portion of it. So you can format it the way you would like to there. You can align cell text. By changing the alignment of a cell, you can control exactly where the text is located. In the example below, the cell text is aligned to the right. And we know all about that because we learned about that in the beginner's class of how they are lined up for you. You can change the text direction. Making the text vertical can add style to your table. And it always allows you to fit more columns in your table. So you can see how they've changed these from the horizontal view to the vertical view. So this was all about using the different layout tabs, being able to modify a table when you have it. So go ahead right now. And if you have a table already inserted, then go ahead and give this a try of the Layout tab. I have a feeling your challenge will have something affiliated with this, but I'd like for you to be a little bit more familiar before you're going into the challenge. For this challenge, it's going to be affiliated with the tables that you just got done working with or watching the video and seeing that layout tab of the tables. You can either use an existing document that you already have, or you can use the practice document, and I've provided a link for you underneath this class, and it'll be labeled tables. You can actually convert some text into a table. If you're using the practice document, convert the text below the Sub Rosa company label. You can apply a table style and experiment with the table style options. Insert a column into the table, delete a row from the table, insert a blank table in 6 rows and 2 columns. You can add borders to the blank table. Really, you can do a lot of other things, and if you feel like doing that, please do. But this will get you kind of going on a refresher of how the tables work for you in Microsoft Word.
Their life.
When working with numerical data in Word, sometimes a chart is just what you need to show the meaning behind the numbers. In this video, we're going to look at some of the different types of charts and also some ways that you can customize them to best represent your data. Column charts are good all-around charts. They work with many different types of data. Whereas line charts are best for showing trends over time. Pie charts are unique because they let you see your data in proportion instead of on a graph. We also have the bar chart, which is basically just a column chart turned on its side. And finally, area charts, which are similar to line charts, except the areas under the lines are filled in. To create a chart, go to the Insert tab. Then click the Chart command, and a list of choices will appear. I think I'll start with something in the column category. This one looks nice and simple. Click OK, and then something interesting happens. Word will open a spreadsheet similar to what you'll find in Excel, where you can start entering your data. All you have to do is type your information over the placeholder text, and Word will update the chart in your document. See how it works? Now we just need to fill in our sales figures. We're going to be covering the last 5 years from 2008 to 2012. Anything you want to include in your chart has to be inside this little blue box, but don't worry, it'll expand automatically as you continue to type. Next, to save some time, we're going to copy and paste the rest of the data from an existing worksheet in Excel. This option is great if you already have your data recorded elsewhere. All you have to do is go to the worksheet in Excel and copy the data you want to use. Then go back to Word and paste it here by pressing Ctrl-V on your keyboard. And Word will update the chart automatically. When you're done, click the X to close the spreadsheet window. You can also give your chart a title if you want. To go back to the chart and make any changes or corrections, click the Edit Data command on the Design tab, and the window will open again. Charts are designed to help you illustrate your point, just like illustrations in a book. Therefore, things like color, layout, and chart type really do matter. For example, right now, the columns are grouped by genre, but I'm more interested in taking a look at trends over time. That means we need to group the data by year instead. Luckily, we don't have to start over. Just make sure you have the Edit Data window open, then click the chart to select it. Next, click the command that says Switch Row/Column, and that's all it takes. See how the chart has been rearranged? Basically, the years and the genres have switched places. You can always experiment with this to see which option is going to work best. If you want to try a different chart altogether, click the Change Chart Type command on the far right of the tab, then pick something else from the dialog box. I think I'll go with a line chart this time. Line charts work well for data like this. For example, we can see right away that sci-fi and fantasy had an unusually good year in 2008, and also that romance novels are starting to catch up in sales. If you want, you can change the chart style to give your chart a different look. As you can see, you have several different options to choose from. You can also change the chart layout itself. Just go to the Quick Layout command and make a selection from the menu. Not all of these options will work for the data you're working with. Just keep going until you find something you like. Why don't we go with something like this? You can make further adjustments using the Chart Elements shortcut. Just look for the button with the plus sign. Here you can add or remove elements from your chart depending on your preferences, or you can click the arrow to the right to access even more options. Charts are a great choice for presenting numerical data in Word and also enhancing your documents. With so many design options to choose from, you can achieve exactly the look you want.
Okay, so I want to go through identifying the parts of a chart. This way, when you go to create yourself a chart, you'll have a little bit better understanding of how it works. So up here is your title. This should be, clearly describe what your chart is going to be illustrating. Here is your legend. This identifies which data series each color on the chart represents. For many charts, it is crucial, but for some charts, it may not be necessary and can be deleted. In this example, the legend allows viewers to identify the different book genres in the chart. So you can see them by color, and then they're all listed here by color as well. So the data series consists of related data points in a chart. If there are multiple data series in the chart, each will have a different color or style. Now, your pie charts can only have one data series, so you can't have a bunch. In this example, though, the green columns represent the romance, and we know that because if we look at our legend, romance, and they're pertaining to this one here. The vertical axis, also known as the y-axis, is the vertical part of the chart. In this example, a column chart, the vertical axis measures the height or value of the columns, so it is also called the value axis. However, in a bar chart, the horizontal axis would be the value axis. So it just depends on what kind of a chart you're using of the way that it's going to be laid out for yourself. The horizontal axis, also known as the x-axis, is the horizontal part of the chart. In this example, the horizontal axis identifies the categories in the chart, so it is also called the category axis. However, in a bar chart, the vertical axis would be the category axis. So again, it just depends on what kind of chart you're using of how it's going to be laid out for yourself. So a good way to find that out would be for you to go ahead and get in there and try to create some type of a chart for yourself. If you need any further assistance or have any questions about this, please get in contact with me. I would love to assist you, and we can sit down and work on some of these charts together. So since we've been talking about the types of charts, I wanted to go ahead and include that in here. This one here, Word has a variety of each of chart types, each with its own advantages. So we're going to click on these arrows so we can see some of the different types of charts. This is the column chart, and we're familiar with that because we just used one of those. And this is vertical bars to represent data. They can work with many different types of data, but they're most frequently used with comparing information. You've got your line chart, which is ideal for showing trends. The data points are connected with lines, making it easy to see whether values are increasing or decreasing over time. You've got your pie chart, which makes it easy to compare proportions. Each value is shown as a slice of pie, so it's easy to see which value makes up the percentage of a whole. You've got your bar chart, which is just like the column charts, but they use them in the horizontal bars instead of the vertical bars. So that's what we were talking about earlier. It just depends on what kind you're using. You've got area charts, which are similar to your line charts, except the areas under the lines are filled in. So you don't have just plain lines like you did before. You have a surface chart, which allows you to display data across a 3D landscape. They work best with large data sets, allowing you to see a variety of information at the same time. So, and that's brought to you from gcflearnfree.org. But these are all different types of charts. I hope you have a little bit better understanding of the types of charts and the interface that goes along with it. Just take a look at all your charts and see what you can do. Time for another challenge, and this challenge is part of charts. So you can either open that existing Word document or you can use the practice document, which is a link for you inside the comments of this class. Insert a new chart. If you're using the practice document, edit the data for the chart by deleting the data from October through December. Try changing the chart type and layout. Switch a row and column. Apply a chart style. If the new style includes a chart title or any labels, you can just edit them. So this is great for getting you going on charts. If you need any further assistance, I would love to help you with that, so you can get in contact with me and get your free class going for yourself. This is pretty much the end of working with objects. The next slide is going to just be thanking you for coming. So I really hope that you were able to absorb a lot of the information that was given to you in this class. Again, don't hesitate if you need help. And your computer class pass incentive program secret code is I made it through indents and tabs. Go ahead and give me that code and get your that way I can get you marked down for taking the class, and then you're on your way to some prizes. But give all of these a try. I don't think you're going to have any problem if you're getting yourself familiar with Word at all. But again, I'm here for you. I would never want to leave you hanging, so get in contact with me if you need any help. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of the class today. Hey, congratulations. You did a great job. You made it through Microsoft Word 2013, working with text and objects. It wasn't easy. It's a little bit more intermediate advanced, but I wanted you to be able to have these options for yourself. And just keep in mind that if it wasn't for you, I would have no reason to have these classes. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Make sure you're listening for that secret code that is within this class, so you can start winning prizes. If you need any additional help, and I've been telling you this throughout the whole class, please don't hesitate to call me to schedule a one-on-one appointment. They're free to you. Why not take advantage of them? We can go over your technology needs, whatever that might be. Don't forget to join us on Facebook for Tech Talk Technology for helpful weekly hints and tips. Also, the Mobile Technology Lab is out in the community, so if you can't come into the library for an appointment, maybe I can meet you somewhere outside of the library. So be thinking about that, and do not hesitate to call me once again if you need any further assistance. And thank you so much again for taking this class. You're on your way to being able to master Microsoft Word 2013. Congratulations. I'd like to thank the following websites for their information. Without their information and pictures, this class could not have taken place today. So thank you so much for your references and resources for our class.